What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo. Oh my goodness, it's draft week. I am so excited, and as promised here on this Monday afternoon, delivering another 3-round mock draft for the New York Giants. Now, I've done 2 of these already. You guys have shown tremendous support on both of those so far, and as promised on this Monday to kick off draft week, I had to hit you guys with another 3-round predictive mock draft for the New York Giants. So if you haven't been following along with this predictive mock draft series so far, I'll quickly run through the idea here. And the idea has been on those first 2 mock drafts, based on what we know about the New York Giants, here's what the mock draft is going to look like. And what I mean by that is the first one was centered around the rumors of that time 2 weeks ago. The second one was centered around the rumors of the top 30 visits. And based on those visits, what could a 3-round mock draft look like? And now today, since it is the start of draft week, we got a slew of news, rumors, reports from all these different insiders around the NFL. Tom Pelissero, Adam Schefter, Jordan Wren, and Connor Hughes. All of these guys dropped bunches of news this morning discussing the NFL draft, whether it's relating to specific prospects like Shedeur Sanders, or to the Giants' interest in certain prospects like Jackson Dart, or to the draft as a whole, like the Bears being in love with Ashton Genty and hoping that he falls to number 10 overall. All of the new information has now been processed, and now here we are this afternoon, and I'm hitting you guys with another predictive mock draft to discuss the New York Giants. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and dive right into this 3-round mock draft. And both of the prior 2 mock drafts have only had one constant, and it's been the number 3 overall pick, which is going to be the case again in this one. But I do have a kind of asterisk next to it and an explanation for a potential alternative here. But before I dive into that, I'll just say this. This has been a great series. It's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate all the support that people have shown. And I just want to give a preview ahead for the rest of the week. On Thursday night, you already know, draft stream special. I'm going to be live for the entirety of the first round. I don't care if the Giants make their pick at number 3. I'm not getting off the live stream. I'm going to be there for all 32 picks in the first round because I want to make sure that the Giants don't sneak up into the 32nd pick and draft somebody. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be live on Friday night as well. But prior to that, Wednesday night, this is Mock Draft 3.0 on the 3-round spectrum. We're going to hit the 7-round mock draft special on Wednesday night. Alex and I are doing that, plus some bonus content at the end that, if you're a fan of the channel, you do not want to miss. So really excited for all of that. And let's go ahead and dive into this 3-round mock draft. Once again, predictive mock draft. Not what I would do. The Wednesday special will be what I would do. But this is the predictive 3-round mock draft based on what we're hearing. And with the number 3 overall pick, I shall predict that it is going to be Penn State edge Abdul Carter. And as I said, this has been the one constant in these mock drafts because I do feel pretty confident that the Giants are going to go best player available at number 3. And on top of that, I feel pretty confident that the best player available is going to be Abdul Carter. I think that Travis Hunter is going number 2 overall to the Cleveland Browns, but this is where the asterisk, the asterisk comes from. There was some chatter this morning as all of this new information was dropping and these new reports were coming out that the Browns might not be 100% locked into Travis Hunter, that they might still be going through the process and making a decision here. 2 bits of information that I read about the Cleveland Browns this morning. Number 1 was that Abdul Carter is still on the table. They are deciding currently over the next few days between Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, but they haven't firmly made a decision or locked in a pick one way or another. Now, it probably seems like they're leaning towards Abdul Carter. That sounds like not leaning towards Abdul Carter, leaning towards Travis Hunter. That seems to be the case. That has seemed to be the case over the last several weeks. And Adam Schefter maybe seemed to indicate one way or another that the first 3 picks are going to be Cam Ward, messing up all over the place here, but I'm going to power through. Cam Ward, then Travis Hunter, then Abdul Carter. But other reporters have said that, hey, the Giants or the Browns have not necessarily made up their minds, and Abdul Carter is still a name that they're considering. At the end of the day, I think they're going to go with Travis Hunter, and I think Abdul Carter is going to be a New York Giant. However, the second half of this is, could the Browns take a quarterback with the number 2 overall pick? The reason that I want to pose that question is because, according to different reports, both the Browns and the Giants have continued to call the Tennessee Titans in an effort to convince them to trade down. Now, the Titans at number 1 overall are going to take Cam Ward. That is the firm expectation. That's about the one constant that we have in this pre-draft process leading up to Thursday night. We know that the Titans are taking a quarterback, and that quarterback's going to be Cam Ward. However, the Browns continuing to call in an effort to trade up for Cam Ward, to me, could be interpreted as they are somewhat desperate for a quarterback. Now, it could just be that they're desperate for Cam Ward and they only want him. Or it could mean that they really want a quarterback in the first round and maybe they end up settling for Shedeur Sanders at number 2. Now, again, I don't think that's likely. I think more likely is Sanders makes it past 3 and has a little bit of a slide in the first round. That seems to be what most of the reports are indicating. However, Shedeur Sanders, the fact that the Cleveland Browns owner went to the pro day for Colorado has always indicated to me that they have at least some level of heightened interest in Shedeur Sanders. Now, do they have a heightened interest in taking him number 2 overall, or do they have an interest in taking him later in the draft? If he falls outside of the top 10, do they want to trade up for him? Whatever the case might be, I don't know. None of us do. But I do think the Browns are interested in a quarterback in this year's draft, and I do think Shedeur Sanders is at least part of their conversation. And so, maybe we get a surprise on draft night. Maybe they do take Sanders at 2. I do think it's unlikely. I think more realistically, the Browns are trying to decide between Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter right now, and it's probably going to be Travis Hunter, which is why with the first pick in this mock draft, number 3 overall, I'm predicting that the Giants are going to take Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter. So before I move on to the second pick, again, I said I don't want to spend a ton of time on this pick because if you have been following along with the series, this has been the pick and probably will remain the pick through Thursday night. I feel as though Abdul Carter makes a lot of sense for the Giants, and the one reason that I keep returning to is Super Bowls. Whether you're talking 21, you're talking 25, you're talking 42, 46, or the most recent one that the Philadelphia Eagles won. Or when the Los Angeles Rams won years ago, the Chiefs Super Bowls as well. The constant denominator in all of these Super Bowl champions has been a fierce pass rush. And the way I love to break it down is when you look at 2007, 2008, that New York Giants team, they had a bunch of talent on the front line with guys like OC, with Strahan, of course, with Tuck. They still drafted Matthias Kiwanuka. When they had Kiwanuka and Tuck and OC, they still drafted Jason Pierre-Paul in 2010-11 and went on that run as well. And could you imagine if those teams said, hey, we've already got Tuck, we've already got OC, we've already got Kiwanuka, we don't need Jason Pierre-Paul. Pierre-Paul had 16.5 sacks that season to lead the New York Giants to a Super Bowl win. He was instrumental in their success throughout the course of that campaign and in that playoff run and in that Super Bowl, as was Tuck, as was OC. All of these guys were. So I look at it as, imagine if the Giants back then said, no, we don't need a surplus on the defensive line. We don't want to stack too much talent there. Let's spread the wealth out. I don't think that's the way to build a roster. I think you stack talent, you go best player available, and you continue to add talent all across the board regardless of position. Now, obviously, in some extreme cases, if you're picked at 3rd overall and you have a franchise quarterback, you're not going to take another franchise quarterback. That's not necessary. That's an extreme. But when you're talking about an edge rusher position, which has 2 starting positions, which I think is important, plus you're talking about Abdul Carter, who has the ability to play inside, outside, defensive line, edge, all over the place, I don't see any excuse to pass up a guy like this and his talent, unless you're in love with a quarterback at number 3 overall. And if the Giants aren't in love with Shedeur Sanders, which according to reports this morning, the building is very much split. He has his supporters and he has his guys in the building who maybe aren't sold on him. When you've got that kind of a divide in the building 3 days before the NFL draft, according to all of these reports, it indicates to me that the Giants are just going to take the best player available. And that is going to be Abdul Carter in my prediction. So that's the pick. I'm a strong believer in stacking the defensive line. One last example I'll use is, again, going back to this Eagles team that already had Fletcher Cox, still drafted Jalen Carter, that already had Brandon Graham, still drafted Josh Sweat, right? Like, they keep stacking talent at these positions because they are important positions. And if you have a good coaching staff, you're going to find ways to get all of these guys on the field at the same time or in a rotation, and that's going to be straight up just effective football that wins championships. That's what we've seen time and time again in the NFL, and we will see it again. And I would love to see the New York Giants add Abdul Carter to a defensive line that features Kayvon Thibodeau, who's only 24 years old, 1 year removed from an 11.5 sack season, could continue to progress and become a better player. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. I mean, that's a defensive line right there. That is a defensive line, if it reaches its potential, and I know it's a big if because it's the Giants, but if it reaches its potential, that's a playoff and championship defensive line. You need other pieces than just the defensive line, but to have that foundation set could be huge, could be monumental for the New York Giants. Figure the rest out later potentially, and that's what we're going to discuss with our second pick in this mock draft. figuring the rest out later. And that's going to be a mock trade here. Now, again, because this is a predictive mock draft, based on what we're hearing, this is why I'm making this prediction with this second pick. Again, this is not necessarily what I would do if I were the general manager. And there are other rumors that could indicate that the Giants are going to go down a different path. It depends on which sources you're reading and what you're believing. However, I just want to go through a thought exercise here with certain reports and rumors. Could this happen with the second pick that the Giants make? And that's going to be a predictive mock trade here. So this is the third 3-round mock draft we've done. This is the first one that we've done with trades. But in this prediction, I'm going to have the New York Giants jumping from pick number 34 all the way up to pick number 23 to land Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. The reason I have them going up to 23 is competition. I don't think that the Giants will probably have to go up this far for Jackson Dart, but I wanted to walk through the thought exercise of what if the Saints end up trading into pick 30? Okay, now the Giants have to get ahead of them, and they have to get ahead of a couple other teams that might be trying to trade up. Now they're going to have to make a real strong push to make sure that they land their guy, Jackson Dart, if that's who they believe in. According to the report from Connor Hughes this morning, they do like him. Brian Dable reportedly really likes Jackson Dart. That's his guy in this draft. Whether you believe it or not, one thing it can be true, the other thing cannot be. Could be a mix of both. But Jackson Dart is a prospect that I do like. Now, do I believe in him to take him at number 23 overall? I don't know about that. However, predictive mock draft. Not what I would do, but predictive. And I could see a world where the Giants say, hey, we've got Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson this season, but neither of these guys are long-term solutions. The two most pressing needs for us one of the most pressing needs is to draft a long-term quarterback. And Jackson Dart in the first round gives you a fifth-year option. That gives you, by definition, a long-term potential answer at the quarterback position. Dart has a strong arm. He has a good amount of mobility. He's, like I said, athletic, but he's also pretty accurate. Now, what are the question marks with Jackson Dart? Why would I not feel comfortable taking him in the first round, especially making a trade? And actually, pause on that. What did I give up in this trade? In the PFF mock draft simulator, I had to give up number 34, obviously, to move up the 11 spots, the 99 overall pick in this year's draft, which is the second third rounder that the Giants have, and a fourth round pick in 2026. So it's quite a haul. It's quite a lofty price tag, if I'm being completely honest. It might be a little bit too much, but I figured it was enough, and because the Giants have pick 105 in this year's draft, just 6 picks later after that 99 overall, I could see them viewing that 99th pick, a compensatory pick that they got for free, and saying, we might as well throw this thing at Jackson Dart, throw the dart at the board and go get a quarterback, right? Move up and be aggressive and make this move. And again, what don't I like about Jackson Dart? Sometimes he can be panicky under pressure, doesn't have the greatest pocket presence, and doesn't really go through his progressions. A couple of the reasons why I think he doesn't go through his progressions, though, well, really the main reason being he wasn't asked to. The Ole Miss offense, they were basically running 7v7 football. A lot of play action, a lot of RPOs, a lot of quick passes. They wanted him to get the ball out immediately to his first read. What I'll say in credit to that is something that I've been saying about the Giants offense for the last 2 years. The quarterbacks that the Giants have had, Daniel Jones, etc., have sucked at getting the ball out on time and quickly. They have all struggled to hit the open read and the hot route immediately. Let's take this example I've used before and apply it to Jackson Dart versus a Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle-led offense. Wan'Dale Robinson wide open 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. Catches the ball, is tackled for a 2-3 yard gain. Okay, well the ball was a full second late. Imagine if he got the ball a second earlier, can turn upfield, catches it in stride. Now, instead of it being 3rd and 8, it's 3rd and 2 because he gained 6 yards or 8 yards or whatever he gained out of this reception because he was able to turn upfield. So to the credit of Jackson Dart, he might be a one-read quarterback right now, and we know that quarterbacks can learn to get through their progressions. They can be developed to become multi-read quarterbacks and read the field better. To benefit him, he has Brian Dable, who's pretty good at teaching that sort of thing. Also to benefit him, he has Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson in front of him, so there's no rush to get Dart in the starting lineup. Plus, he has 2 very experienced veterans to help teach him a thing or two and help him improve his game. These are all truths. And again, on top of that, Dart maybe was asked to go to his first or second read more often than you would like a prospect to. However, considering the Giants tried to run this one-read offense the past 2 years and just didn't have a quarterback who could get the ball out quickly enough, this offense might be significantly improved by a quarterback who's really proficient in hitting that first read. Because that's the problem. Daniel Jones didn't get past his first read. He wasn't good at hitting the first read either. That was the issue. The ball would be behind, it would be off time, it would be inaccurate, causing the wide receiver to break stride and slow down and get tackled short of the first down or right near the line of scrimmage. These were issues that plagued the New York Giants offense the last couple of years. And it wasn't just Daniel Jones, it was Locke, it was DeVito, it was Boyle. I'm not trying to single the one guy out, but that's been a problem for the New York Giants offense. That would not be a problem, in my opinion, potentially with Jackson Dart, because he has shown a proficiency to hit that first read. Now, it is a problem that he gets stuck on that first read, the play breaks down, he takes sacks, or he throws up errant passes. These are truths, and these are concerns. But he is proficient in getting the ball out to that first read. I mean, we had plays over the last 2 seasons, the Giants running a simple RPO, and Daniel Jones is just not getting the ball to the first read on the pass option. He would just hand it off, maybe take the run option, or he would take the run option when the pass option is wide open, or force it to the pass option, making his mind up before the play. Oh, it's a screen, it's a tackle for loss because he didn't take the run option. You guys get my point here. An RPO offense can be effective at the collegiate level, extremely effective at the collegiate level, as we just saw with Ole Miss. It can be effective at the NFL level. The Giants have tried to produce that kind of an offense to mask some of the deficiencies of their quarterback room. They just have had such a deficient quarterback room that they haven't been able to run that offense to a T. Jackson Dart at the least knows how to run that offense. Quick passes, out into the flat, and off the RPO, off of the play action. So, if we're talking about a scheme that maximizes the strengths and minimizes the weaknesses of a quarterback, I actually do feel as though Jackson Dart could be a perfect fit with the New York Giants. He's not going to play this year, so it doesn't really matter because you hope that these skills, he develops them anyway. Yes, he's good on the RPOs and the quick passes now, and maybe that's a big selling point for the Giants, but you don't want him to be a one-read quarterback forever. But that's why you let him sit for the full year. He doesn't play till 2026. Maybe he doesn't even play till 2027. Now he's got 2 years to read the field, to learn about how to go through those progressions, and learn from some good quarterbacks and good coaches. And then eventually, maybe, he's not even a one-read quarterback once you see him on the field. Maybe he's a 2, 3, 4-read quarterback. And now he's also got that strong arm that we talked about. And he's got that mobility that we talked about. And he's got that accuracy throwing downfield and that aggression. Man, this kid is aggressive. He loves to throw the ball downfield. He'll go out, roll on his left, boom, fling that thing 40 yards on a rope, big play. We've seen him do that. He's got the aggression. He wants to do that. He wants to throw the ball downfield. So I think a Brian Daboll quarterback has 2 key important traits. 3, actually, I'm going to roll 3 into this. Number 1 is mobility. Having athleticism is crucial for Brian Daboll. Number 2 is throwing the ball quick and on time. That has proven to be absolutely critical in his offense. And number 3 is, can you be aggressive and throw the ball downfield? To me, if those are the 3 hallmark traits of a Brian Daboll quarterback prospect, Jackson Dart checks all 3 of those boxes. He could be something special under Brian Daboll's tutelage. I do believe that. Now, that being said, would I take him at pick number 23? Would I trade up for him? I'm still undecided on that. But I feel as though Brian Daboll might decide, yes, I would do that, and the Giants might do that. So that's why we're going to unfold that scenario in this predictive mock draft. So I think it's an interesting thought exercise. I think it gave me a good opportunity here to discuss Jackson Dart at length and have a little bit of fun talking about him as a prospect, because this has been an enjoyable conversation that I've just had with myself, but of course with all of you in the comment section. But I just think that there is a lot to like about Jackson Dart, and I think that he really does fit what Brian Daboll wants to do in his offense here with the New York Giants. So, in this predictive mock draft, like I said, the Giants are trading pick number 99 and a 4th-round pick in 2026 to move up 11 spots, secure Jackson Dart in the 1st round at pick number 23 overall with a 5th-year option, which is crucial at the quarterback position. You want that additional season of contractual control over your quarterback. It can be very crucial, especially if that quarterback is going to be redshirted essentially for the entirety of his rookie season. So I think the Giants really improved their long-term outlook with Dart. I also don't know if Dart really prevents you from taking a quarterback if you're picking top 3 again next year. I think maybe you trade him, or maybe you trade down from the top 3 pick next year and you gain an absolute king's ransom. It's totally possible. I just think that this is a good pick. It would be one that I'm happy about. I said it on Twitter earlier this morning. If the Giants' 1st-round draft haul is Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart, I'm going to be thrilled. I'm going to walk away from the 1st round extremely excited about the future outlook of this team. Now we've got a dominant pass rusher potentially in Carter. We improved the roster for 2025, but we improved our long-term outlook in Jackson Dart for 2026 and beyond. That sounds like a pretty good proposition to me. I like it, so I enjoy the first two picks of this mock draft. So over the course of the next few minutes, I am going to wrap this thing up with our third and final pick in this mock draft. Screw that. I'm going to throw a fourth round bonus pick in there because there's somebody that I want to talk about at the running back position. Spoiler alert. But third pick here, number 65 overall in this mock draft. Of course, we know that is the first pick of the third round of the NFL draft. I'm going to have the Giants taking Texas defensive tackle Alfred Collins. So I do really like Alfred Collins for a couple of reasons. I'll say this about Alfred Collins. I think that Alfred Collins has the size to play this position. I think that he does fit the New York Giants and their need to add some run-stopping prowess to their defensive line. I think that he's a prospect who will be on the board at number 65 overall. And additionally, I think he's a prospect who the Giants really want to target at number 65 overall. Keep in mind, the New York Giants did have Alfred Collins, the Texas defensive tackle, in for a top 30 visit, indicating that they would like to draft him is how I interpret that. I think he's a good player. I think he's a phenomenal run stopper. He weighs in, let me double check this, at 6'5", 320 pounds. 315 pounds might be the more accurate one, actually. I mean, and if you're talking about versatility, on your defensive line, the guy has lined up at the 0 nose tackle, and he's lined up at the 5 tech, which is basically an edge rusher. He could potentially, at this size, this pass rushing upside that he has, surprising athleticism for a guy who's 6'5", 320, he could emulate a lot of things that the Giants were getting out of Leonard Williams. No, I'm not comparing him to Leonard Williams and saying that it's the same level of talent. I'm just saying, if you're talking about the versatility on the defensive line and the size, he could emulate some of those things that Williams used to do for the Giants defensive line. So I really like Alfred Collins. He's an intriguing prospect to me. I think his ability to stop the run gives him a really high floor. And man, you're talking about two 6'5", 320 plus pound defensive linemen in Dexter Lawrence plus Alfred Collins. Good luck running against this team, right? And now you're talking about a defensive line with Collins, with Lawrence, Burns, Thibodeau, and Carter. It's a great front five. So we haven't done Alfred Collins in a lot of these mock drafts so far. Haven't really gotten a chance to talk about him. But I know that he is a fan favorite for a lot of Giants fans. So if this is a guy that you've been waiting to hear us talk about, I'm happy that we're finally doing it. And I'm happy that you're getting your way with him number 65 here in this mock draft. I really think this could be the potential pick for the Giants, though. And just to add some more context, to his versatility, this past season, his snap distribution was super interesting. He had 146 snaps over the A gap, 299 over the B gap, 129 over the offensive tackle, and a 19 outside of the offensive tackle. So again, proving the point, he lines up all over the defensive line. A very versatile player. Not a lot of sack production. 1 sack this past year, 2 the year prior. 17 hurries this year, 18 the year prior. Only a 6.9% pass rush win grade, which is truly just average. But an 85 overall run defense grade according to PFF. And a lot of big plays against the run throughout his collegiate career. I think he's a starter in the NFL, and to draft a starter at number 65 overall would be really exciting for the Giants. I think he at least fits the team as a rotational piece early on, while they got some other veterans like Raheem Nunez-Roches and what's the guy that they signed this offseason? Roy Robertson Harris, I believe is his name. They could go with him and rotate those guys in this year along with Collins. But long term, I truly do believe that Alfred Collins could indeed be a starter on the New York Giants defensive line. So for this 3-round mock draft, that is going to be the pick here for me and the New York Giants. I really like him at number 65 overall. Alfred Collins, I think, could be a really impactful player for the Giants on the interior of their defensive line. So usually this is where we wrap these things up. But since I traded away the number 99 overall pick in this mock draft, we don't have that extra 3rd round pick. I'm going to give you guys a bonus. We're going to dip into the 4th round at pick 105 here. It's not going to be a quarterback as it has been in previous mock drafts. In this one, I'm actually going to go ahead and try and target a running back with this selection. And that running back is going to be Damian Martinez out of Miami. Now, Damian Martinez out of Miami may or may not make it to this selection. He probably goes in the 3rd round, but for the sake of this predictive mock draft, let's assume he slides a little bit and he's there at pick number 105 for the Giants, right at the start of the 4th round. Or let's even assume maybe they take one of those extra 7th round picks and they move up 5 spots. because they have 2 sevenths this year. Maybe they trade one of those. They move up 5 spots, and they're picking 100. They're basically back where they started, and they take Damian Martinez there, whatever. Late third, early fourth round pick, Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami. Just to give you guys an idea of what he brings to the table, he's 6 foot, 232 pounds. The guy packs a freaking punch. He is aggressive. He's tough to bring down. He could be the Brandon Jacobs to your Ahmad Bradshaw and Tyrone Tracy Jr., right? We know that the Giants have a lot of interest in this running back class. It's a very strong running back class. They have looked at a bunch of guys. No, they didn't have a top 30 visit with Damian Martinez, but they did meet privately with him at the Miami Pro Day, expressing a level of interest. He's a powerful running back. He's okay in pass protection, can probably afford to improve there, holds onto the football well, and plays with a mean style that breaks a lot of tackles. So I like this kid in the 3rd or 4th round. Again, his physicality, I think, is what the Giants are looking for. If you look at the guys that they have met with, a Scatabo, an Omarion Hampton, Kyle Monangai, Ollie Gordon, a lot of these guys that they've met with are early down running backs who run with power and physicality rather than finesse receiving backs. So I think that when and if and probably when they do draft a running back in this class, it's going to be a guy with a lot of weight, a lot of size, and a lot of power. And Damian Martinez fits that specific billing. So he went for over 1,000 yards this past season. Over his first 2 seasons with Oregon State, he had over 2,100 yards. And again, over 1,000 this past season with Miami. So 1,006 rushing yards, 204 receiving yards this last year, 10 touchdowns on the ground. I think he's a really good player. I think he's the perfect fire to the ice that is Tyrone Tracy Jr., and I really like this duo. So there's your bonus selection here, pick 105. Yes, it's a 3-round mock draft, and I went 4 rounds. That's okay. I think that's exactly what we're hoping for out of the Fireside Giants channel. Bonus content, right? This is our second upload of the day. This is what I told you guys. Draft week was going to be a hell of a lot of fun here on the Fireside Giants channel. So I had a lot of fun, again, doing another one of these mock drafts. I think these are a blast. Man, I'm almost sad for the draft to come and go because I love mock draft season. I love draft season in general. It's so much fun to speculate, go through these different scenarios, make these predictions. It's a blast for me. This is what I live for on the Fireside Giants channel. So guys, I do hope that you enjoyed this mock draft, just to run it through one last time so you guys can give me an official grade down below in the comment section. Pick number 3 overall, Abdul Carter. Pick number 23 overall, Jackson Dart, via a trade-up, sacrificing pick number 99 this year and pick in the 4th round of next year. Pick number 65 overall, Alfred Collins, Texas defensive lineman. And pick number 105 overall, 40 selections later, big gap, Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami. What are your thoughts on it? Do you like this mock draft? What do you grade it? Do you want Jackson Dart? Do you think Jackson Dart at 23 is a massive reach? Would you not trade up for him? Do you think that they should trade up for him? Do you think they should avoid him? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you remember what mock draft 1.0, 2.0, and now 3.0 were, tell me which one's been your favorite so far, and also drop your own personal mock drafts down below in the comment section. You know, we read all the comments, we love all the comments, and we love to respond to as many comments as we can. So once again, guys, appreciate you so much and the support that you've shown on these predictive mock drafts in this series. Really looking forward to the mock draft super special on Wednesday afternoon, and I hope you all do tune in for that. And of course, really hoping you all tune in for the live streams on Thursday, Friday, and potentially Saturday. We shall see. Once again, appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for all of your support throughout the draft season here on Fireside Giants. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment your thoughts below. Subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell. And of course, follow us on our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a good one. And let's go Giants.